Welcome to the DMF Podcast, where you will get to hear conversations with community leaders, charity spotlights, and information on upcoming DMF events. I'm your host, Whitney Isaacson, and today I got to sit down with Amy Longtin, a leader in the field of IT and the founder of Tech4kids, a nonprofit working to repurpose technology for kids in need. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation with Amy today, so let's get into it. All right, welcome to the podcast, Amy. We are so excited to be sitting down with you today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here.
Good. So I would love to ask you, as the founder of Tech4kids and the CEO and a leader in the tech field, what are you most passionate about in your role?
In my role, it really is educating and spreading awareness of technology to more women in the industry. We've seen a decline of women going into a tech degree, getting technology in the hands of children that don't have it, whether it be children, whether it be mothers or fathers that are struggling, single mothers or fathers, any kind of family that really needs it, we will donate to. We even donate to the elderly, past F5 project, we've donated to them, lots of nonprofits. So really just getting technology into people's hands that don't have access to it, because I believe that it gives them that little bit of advantage, technological advantage, right? To be able to work on something, to either have it for homework help, researching something, finding a job, things that we all take for granted because we have phones, we have iPads, we have several devices. Usually that's the case at my house anyway. But for some, that's not heard of. They don't have that device to actually sit down and type, up a letter or an email or, properly, or write a book or write a paper. So this really enables them to do that. And that's my passion, is just getting that out there, helping other people with tech and making them more tech savvy.
I love it. It's such an empowerment to be able to have something of your own. It's like a car. Like when you have your first car, it's like a sense of freedom and empowerment of like, okay, like this is mine.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that really helps some folks with empowerment and enabling them to have this device to be able to do that with. So it's just been great since we started in 2020, and it's just gone big from there.
Yeah.
We're just hoping to grow and grow and grow.
Right.
So, yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about how it started and that passion and what it's looked like.
Yeah. So, it's crazy. I always tell this story. It started when I was around a bonfire, actually. It was during the right and smack dab pandemic. It was March. I was out at my cousin's birthday party, and he had a bonfire, and I was talking to another IT professional in one of our smaller school systems in rural North Dakota, so Enderle, North Dakota. And she was telling me that she had to get over 50 some laptops ready to students that didn't have laptops at home. And this was a population of less than 1,500 people, a small town. And she had to get that many laptops ready because they didn't have this type of technology, no desktop, no nothing at home to do remote learning on, to do their homework on. And it blew my mind. I sat there and I thought, what? Could you imagine the amount of people in the Fargo-Moorhead area alone that didn't have this access, right? So I kind of sat there and I looked at her, I'm like, I'm going to start a nonprofit and I'm going to reach out to some companies. I'm like, they usually have technology on their shelves for just sitting there. After 3 years, there's a 3-year cycle of laptops usually. That is at my company. It is at some others I know that I've worked at. And why not repurpose these? Let's repurpose these, reload them, get into children's hands. So I used my tools and my resources. I was and at the time I was a Mrs. North Dakota. So it was kind of my platform too. I made it my platform, and it really brought light to Tech4kids and gave it some more broader audience. I used my resource tools from the North Dakota Women's Business Center, Christy Dower and Kayla, I forget, Medinder.
Okay.
Yeah, they really helped me along the way. I was a graduate of their Women's Leadership Program in 2018, so they really helped me kind of form the steps of creating my own nonprofit. I had no idea. I've never had a nonprofit, right? So I used those tools and those connections, right? Networking, which is great in this small town of Fargo, North Dakota, Fargo and Moorhead area. It's great to have those tools. So I started with that, and they kind of gave me a list. They kind of gave a list, and they're great for helping small businesses and small nonprofits, things like that, getting them going. And they really helped me, guide my way to what Tech4kids is today. I then was fortunate enough to apply for a financial, what do I call it?
Like a grant?
Financial fiscal sponsor. My fiscal sponsor through the Impact Foundation. So it's Impact Foundation, Tech4kids. So they were gracious and wonderful to bring me on and kind of help me with the admin side, keeping the money in a fund. And of course, for Giving Hearts Day, it was really, really neat to have them help me along the way. Emily and Kim Palmet from there are just wonderful to work with. And they really help me kind of navigate some of these things, different fundraisers, some ideas, what we can do to really generate some more more money, more funding for Tech4kids, and also to spread the awareness of it, right? We are in dire need of some more volunteers. And that's often hard to get volunteers to stay engaged and stay with it. When we're kind of small yet, everybody wants to go off to the big ones and, have the big galas and be part of all these great things. I want to get there. That's my vision, right? That is my vision. I want to get there. I'm going to get there. It's just taken some time because you know what? We all are busy. We all have children. We all have jobs, right? So this is, my side gig, but my vision would be to, one day I want to be running this full time, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful to just have it be ran full time? But right now that's down the road, way down the road, but I would have to get some great donors for that. So.
Yes, for sure. Well, it's so cool to hear the story of how far you've come. Is there a specific number of, the demographic you've served or the people you've helped?
Right. So we've pretty much helped our focus on the Fargo-Moorhead area mostly, but we have reached out to Grand Forks, the western part of the state. I have a great volunteer out there, Tony Hayter. She's hit it hard out in that western part of the state and really has been a really great gangbuster and advocate for Tech4kids. We've serviced Williston, Bismarck, some of those rural cities and towns because a lot of times they don't have that access to a program like this, like Tech4kids, and they've never heard of it. So it's been wonderful to have her out there kind of spreading the word and people hearing about it. We've actually sent quite a few laptops out that way. I think our total count right now is 354 laptops have been donated since Tech4kids was formed, and it's mostly in North Dakota, so it's North Dakota based. But you know what? My grand vision would be to have a Tech4kids representative in each state, right? And have it be nationwide. Wouldn't that be great? But that's, like I said, a great idea, but it just takes time, has stepping stones, right?
Yes,
so, yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the process? I'm curious of how it works. How does someone find out about you?
Right.
What are the steps and how does it come to fruition?
A lot of people ask that, so that's a great question. All they need to do really is email Tech4kids. Tech4kids, it's TECH, the number 4 FGO kids at gmail.com. I can put that out there, but go to our website and our Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook pages. There's so many ways to get a hold of us. What they do is they send an email to us and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm homeschooling a daughter, or I'm with this organization. I have a nonprofit. I need it for these children in this facility, or I need it for a student that is financially not equipped to purchase a laptop. A simple email. And all they do is schedule a time to pick up that laptop. It gets checked out to them. They have to sign a form, and that's it. That is all there is, said and done. It is theirs to keep. The laptop's theirs to keep. They don't rent it. They don't keep it for a while and give it back. It is theirs to keep. We do have a tracking sheet, like an asset tracking sheet, and we also rename the computer names to specific to that that computer and serial number. So that way we can kind of track, let's say that this laptop gets in the wrong hands, right? We want to ensure that, if it had some malicious behavior on it and it had gotten into the hands of the police at some point, we could track it by serial number and who it was donated to, and then kind of go from there and like, how did it get into these hands and where was it at? So we had that kind of set up just because it was brought up, like what happens if one of these devices gets used for the wrong purposes, because it's a world where things happen. So we always had that to try to help that way and keep track of them. And that's it. That is how that will work with our asset tracking and stuff. So that was another kind of piece where how do we keep track of these and how do we keep track of who they go to? So we just have an asset tracking sheet where they were checked out to, when they came in, who they were donated from. We have great donors that provide these laptops, which is probably another question coming, but
for sure.
Yeah, that's how, that's that.
Yeah. So is there criteria that people need to know if they do want to donate, if a business is looking at donating?
Right. The criteria is we don't generally like to take anything over 5 years old, because it generally, if they're more than 5 years old, they're going to be of use to somebody to work on, right? We would have to add RAM to them, or some of these laptops will come from like Scorpion Technologies. They've been great. They've been a huge donor. They've probably donated over 200 some laptops, and they are only 3 years old. They're very, very high-end laptops, Dells, HPs, and they come with large amounts of RAM, but no hard drives. So a lot of our funding dollars go to buying these hard drives and inserting the hard drives. Our volunteers do this. We're all 100% volunteer, by the way. Okay. So none of us get paid. All our funding dollars go right into the organization and the fund. We, as volunteers, reload these laptops. Another one that has kind of been a savior and a big help is Phone and Fix in the mall. We kind of partnered with them, where their employees will reimage these laptops on their slow times and during work and things like that. And Miranda and Carl really wanted to find, the owners of Phone and Fix, they really wanted to find a way to kind of give back to their community, right? And help in some way. So Miranda and I had a coffee date one day, and she's like, you know what? I think we can help you out. And they have been a tremendous help with the reloading of our laptops, because like I said, a lot of our volunteers were all working mothers. We're busy, and granted, I would do 10 at a time on my island at home when my kids would go to bed and just kind of go down the line, one by one. And you just don't want to get burnt out, right? Because then it's not fun anymore, right? Yeah. It's not fun anymore. So they have been a great help. Yeah.
Wonderful. That's so cool to hear. So I'm kind of curious, is there a favorite impact story that you've had from, reloading all these laptops, getting them out there? Do you ever get to hear about those impact stories?
Yes. I've had a few people, write back and say how we donated one to a gentleman that was getting out of rehab, for instance. He was in there, had a bad run or bad luck, just choices, and he straightened himself out, wanted to come out, and he was in tears. Who I donated to, she said he was in tears and had to call his mother right away and say, "Mom, I got this laptop. I'm going to utilize it. I'm going to look for a job." Great things were going to happen for him, right? So hopefully put him in the direction that he really wanted to be in. Another one was a child was given it, and he literally hugged the laptop, and it was so happy. He had tears of joy. He could finally write his book that he's been wanting to write, things like that. It really inspires me and makes you feel so good. When we do the larger donations, like 20 at a time to certain places, Win Liberia is one where we donated 20 of them. Those children first learn how to use them with her nonprofit there. They'll learn how to use them, and then they're issued the laptop to bring home and use. So, a lot of times it's New Age Americans that, they come here, and they don't necessarily know how to use technology, but then we're going to give them a laptop. So that's a great tool where they actually train them on them. YouthWorks is another one, right? Yeah. They use their laptops in their centers where people can come in and utilize the laptops for internet searches, whatever they need it for. Wow. And I've heard lots of inspiring stories about how it's benefited their nonprofit and helped with their program. So just things like that, when you hear those type of stories and how much it's Rape and Abuse Crisis Center in Williston, they're using them out there in the centers to get their life back on track, get out of that situation, right? So you hear stories like that and it really inspires you to just keep going and keep it going, because, it does seem like it's a simple thing, right? And because I was like, how come nobody's ever thought of this before? When I first started, that was my thought. I'm like, why hasn't this been come about before? Why hasn't this been thought of before? So it was just mind-boggling to me, and a simple solution really to do, right, for our community. So it was formed. Tech4kids was formed. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everything you do. It's so cool to hear the stories of people leveraging technology for good, and all the heartwarming stories of the people you're touching where in such a time of need, like something so simple, like a little material resource that, like you said, we take for granted is just so impactful to their lives. Right.
It really is. A lot of times I think they would have to go to public libraries and, who knows what the age of the equipment is there. So to have that resource there, or a facility that they go to, like I said, like YouthWorks or these other places, these other nonprofits, it really makes a difference. And having the schools in town, I've donated to quite a few in town, and just to continue that partnership. Hey, we are here. Use us. Come and get a laptop. Yeah. They are there, yours to keep. Yeah. And no ifs, ands, or but. We do generally ask, hey, give us a shout out, on Facebook or any social media, just because it does spread the word, right? You have one person say something about it, and it connects to the next and the next, right? That's how the algorithm works, right? Yeah. So it's nice to have those shout outs. That's only thing we ever ask is a picture and a shout out, that's about it. So,
well, the awareness is totally key, because how many people would just overlook, like, when technology is starting to get bad, you have to replace it. Someone else can use that technology.
Exactly. And it's generally, most of our donors are businesses, right? Businesses where these laptops were used in a business setting. They weren't really, they're not from a home that, I have this laptop in my closet. Would you like it? Well, how long's it been in there? Probably 10 years. Yeah, that's not much use for us. But it's generally nice when we get them from the companies, because they're well maintained usually. And we just have to put in a hard drive and reload them. And they're literally, when you reload a laptop with a new hard drive, and you have the Intel in them and the RAM, they are like a new device. They really are. So it's great to have those donors and that expertise. So a lot of it is people that I have been in the IT field for 30 plus years, right? So I know, obviously, it's like secondhand for me to reload a laptop. Let's just throw the hard drive in and reload it. Boom, done. Run some updates and we're good to go. Yeah. But for the average volunteer, that's some things that I've trained or mentored children, volunteers on how to reload a laptop. It's just a cool life tool to have in your back pocket, right? Hey, I don't need to bring this into the Geek Squad. I can do it myself. I just need to reload it, because I know how, from volunteering at Tech4kids. So
yeah. Well, I'd love to learn, because it'd be very useful. So you kind of touched on this earlier, but if you could dream big, say you were to receive a $10 million gift, what would you do with that money?
That money would go to, getting our own little, a little office space, right? Because right now this is all housed out of my home, and in my garage I have shelving, and I have laptops and parts and power cords and batteries and everything all over the place, parting together, laptops. So it'd be, to get our own place, to have storage and a workbench and things to do this on. It would also spent on more, maybe some advertising, right? Advertising to get the word out there. It would be spent on probably purchasing some newer laptops, iPads, getting that out there. Maybe incorporating some training for internet safety, having that out there, just spending and focusing more time on that. And doing it full time, right?
Yeah.
Doing it full time where I could just focus on it and make it go big, make it go nationwide. So it would be grand. That would be like, what?
Yeah.
I'd probably fall over.
Yeah.
But all that funding would go to various things that, like I said, at that point, then I might hire. We would have to pay somebody because, volunteering is one thing. People love it. But, when we're looking for an internship for social media. And they're all like, well, what's the pay? It's like, well, it's volunteer right now. I would love to pay you, but we are barely scraping by to pay for our hard drives, right? Yep. So it would be great to be able to have a staff, right? A staff to really influence the impact and help the community in more ways than one, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we cannot wait to watch you grow and continue to keep doing this great work. And so last question for you is, can you just reiterate how people can help, how they can find you, what they can do, and what are your greatest needs?
Right. Right now, our greatest needs are volunteers, just helping with and attending the meetings, right? We try to have a monthly virtual meeting, virtual, because we found out from a poll from past volunteers that generally they don't like to meet after work because, people have kids' schedules, things like that. So we found that a virtual meeting once a month and then a quarterly in-person meeting, right, where we all meet in person so we can really meet the team members and get involved, interact, set our goals and expectations for each month by month, right? We need volunteers to help with a gala coming up in November. We need volunteers to help with silent auction items, various things like that. Yeah. Reloading laptops. We need laptop runners. A lot of times I'm driving around town, picking up laptops, bringing them to Phone and Fix, bringing them back, bringing them to the Impact Foundation. So, that driving portion, ties up a lot of a person's time, right? Driving, picking up and delivering the donations. Another great piece would be somebody that's great at the marketing and making our newsletter. Right now, I'm doing that all, the newsletter. We finally had someone revamp our website, so that was nice, but we paid for it. Things like that. It would be great to have volunteers for and help us with that mission. Another portion of what was part of the other.
More needs, like how people can help.
They can help by just simply spreading the word, letting people know about us. There's a lot of people that don't know about us out there. If reaching out to various I'd say like grant writing. We need people to find us, how do we apply to be part of RDO Catered for Traders? How do you get to be that recipient of the what do you call it? The donor, right? Various things like that, to really dig in and be like, hey, Amy, we should do this. Yeah. We should be a part of this. That's great. Research, how do we apply for it? How can we be the recipient of that? Things like that. There's tons of those things that are around. We also would love a corporate sponsor for Giving Hearts Day. We haven't had one since we started, so it'd be great to have a corporate sponsor come in and really help Tech4kids during Giving Hearts Day so that we generate our more money during Giving Hearts Day. So yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, so many great things. And it is just, you have such a heart for this mission and it just makes me love your mission even more. And so I love getting to talk about it more with you and just learn and get that awareness out there.
Well, great. I really appreciate you guys having me and helping spread this mission because it's been a while since I've been on a podcast or kind of, summer always seems to get so busy for a lot of people. But now it's kind of school's back in session, right?
Yes.
And more
people need laptops.
Routine, and people need laptops and, we've been busy. So it's been a busy time, a season. So it's been great. And like I said, I can't believe where it has come, the thing I struggle with is that piece where, we need a board of directors. We need kind of a guidance. We really need a business plan. So someone that's great at writing business plans, things like that, but so that we can execute, right? Yes. Execute the next 5 years. But when there's just a couple of us, it's hard to do. And I work full time and the two kids, it cuts into your nightly routine and your things.
100%.
So it's just really a passion that I wish I had a whole lot more time for.
Yes.
Right. So that's where volunteers come in handy. So
yes. Well, thank you for creating Tech for Kids. Thank you for being here today. And thank you for everything that you do in the IT world. We just love and adore you. So we cannot wait to watch you grow and just keep moving this mission forward.
Yeah,
so
I appreciate it. I really do. Again, thank you for having me here and hearing my story.
What a great conversation with Amy today to hear her vision of repurposing technology to make a greater impact, all after sitting at a bonfire and coming up with the idea, is so inspiring. Don't forget, if you want to learn more, you can visit Tech4kidsfgo.com. All right, folks, that is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you next time on the DMF Podcast.